another episode of Food Technology 1 FOT150S. Here we're talking about the demonstrations for the equipment that you're going to use in your practicals. So today we're going to be talking about mixing ingredients or mixing equipment. So why would you want to mix ingredients? So you want to mix ingredients because you want to intersperse the particles of one type of ingredient with another, or you mix ingredients because you want to form a homogeneous mixture in what you have in terms of your product. So there's various types of equipment that we can use for mixing ingredients. So mostly the equipment that you find or you see here will be used to mix mostly solid, liquid ingredients. So for example, here I'm talking about mixing some flour with water. You also have another type of equipment that we can use, which are homogenizers, which mixes semi-solid ingredients, right? So semi-solid ingredients, for example, if you are going to be doing mayonnaise. So as we've covered in the chapter of mixing, so there are various components that immediately comes or springs into mind when we think about mixing ingredients. So the first thing that we need to find is, for example, is the holding tank or the holding bowl. So in this case we've got the bowls here, and these bowls can be different depending on the type of equipment that you have. For example, here this one is a dough mixer. It is used to mix dough. And this is basically how you can move. So this part is an old type of equipment, so you kind of have to apply some force, so it moves the bowls here. So what basically happens is that when you are mixing your ingredients, the bowl remains stationary, only the paddle that rotates. So in terms of paddles, we've got different mixing components that we find after the bowl. So here, these are mostly what we call the whisks. So the whisks can be used to mix, for example, things like emulsions. If you want to mix egg yolk with spices or with something else, or you want to prepare foams, so you'd use the whisk. And then for kneaders, so this one, if you are going to be using mostly flours, so this is basically a kneading equipment. And how basically it works, it goes inside here, and then once it's inside, then it's this part that rotates, but the bowl remains stationary. Let us put that into test. Right, so this is now in, so it's not going to move. Then you can move your thing up. Until it reaches the level where the product is in, and then we can switch on the machine. So this is basically how this type of machine works. So this will work for mixing products such as your dough that you have for products such as cakes, products such as hot cross buns and stuff like that. So mostly the baked products where you have got the dough. So that's why it's called a dough mixer. So when you are done, you can then again rotate it and remove the product or the dough that you're going to. So here we have another type of a dough mixer. So this dough mixer, the impeller or the rotating shaft remains stationary, but only the bowl rotates. And this is also used to mix products such as dough. And that's why these are two different type of machines. So this one, the bowl is stationary here, and then here the bowl is moving, only the impeller is agitating. It's also used for mixing products such as flours that can be used for making various baked goods. And then the last one that we find here is what we call the planetary cake mixer. It's made it's mostly used for mixing, for example, dry ingredients with liquid ingredients for preparing cakes. And here, as you can see, the whisk is different. So the whisk is inserted here. So this is how it operates. So the whisks rotate. As it continues to rotate, this bowl is stationary, and then you can also increase the speed. You can use various speeds depending on the type of product that you are trying to mix. So as I've explained, all these three materials, or these three types of unit operations or equipment, they are used to mix dry goods versus liquid products, right? So to form like these doughs. So then the question could be, what can we use to mix solid particles? So that's what I'm going to explain in the next section when we discuss this type of equipment. In some cases, it may be desirable or necessary to mix 2 powdered ingredients or more. So this happens in cases where we want to manufacture dry goods such as soups, desserts, cake mixes, anything that is in powder form. So you may have, for example, gelatin that you want to mix with xanthan gum and some flour and some flavorants which are in powdered form. So for that, you cannot use the dough mixers. You need to use what we call the ribbon mixer. In some cases they call it the Sigma blade mixers. So the nice thing about this equipment is that it can open and close. So the product can come in here, or you can pre-fill it, and then here there is a valve that you can open when the product is done. So what basically happens is that you would close your mixer here. So what I would like to point out is that this mixer has a safety valve. So if this is open, even if you can start it here, it will not move because of this safety valve that is put, or this safety mechanism that is put in place. So you need to make sure that this is closed and then it touches over here so that this can give a signal over there, and the product can also come from an opening here and then goes in here, and then it gets mixed in the inside in powder form, and then the output, the product can come out here, so you can have a bowl or a collecting chute that is below there. So basically this is what is happening. This is how you can mix these type of ingredients. So in some cases it is desirable that we mix liquids to liquids. So in that cases we are going to use a homogenizer instead of a ribbon mixer, or instead of a Sigma mixer, or instead of a dough mixers. So basically these are the equipment that are used in the food industry. Always the first thing that we must do is make sure that the equipment is clean, free from foreign matter or foreign material. We've covered foreign matter in terms when we talked about cleaning. Things like stones, sticks, things that are not supposed to be there. So that is regarded as foreign matter. It should not be there. Equipment should be cleaned and sanitized before use, and also cleaned after use, so that before we do the next run, everything is on par.